Just, yeah, for the 2 people that want to do the homework. But it's good that everybody hears it, and it's good that it's maybe recorded for posterity. There's a classic example of a reason like this, just so that you've heard it. So if you're not shocked, you go to listen to a Tibetan guy talk, you'll have heard this before, because they'll use this one. It's whether it is or isn't. Yeah. Okay. So this is a classic example of a cause and effect when they use this one, because it's easy, and they're Tibetans, and they love these kinds of examples. So consider a mountain pass. There is a fire because I see smoke. So this is like the pen drop behind my back example. We're not doing any deep philosophy here. It's just simple, valid perception. You know, so you imagine you're a Tibetan sheep herder, and you're like going somewhere, and you look over the mountains because Tibet is all mountains, and you see 2 mountains, and you see smoke coming up from behind the mountains. Then you know what? There's a fire on the other side. Something terrible is happening. So this is a very Tibetan way of thinking. So let's run the test. What's number 1?
It's the relation.
Yeah, ratio between 1 and 3. So yeah, so what is it? You see smoke behind the mountain pass, so that's the relationship. Right? What's test number 2?
If 3 is in 2.
Yeah, so if I see smoke, does that mean there must be a fire? Pretty much. I mean, if we don't, you could say, well, what if the fire went out and the smoke is still there? I mean, there's stuff you could pick at this, because this actually isn't actually a real cause and effect relationship, so it's going to fail actually at some point. If we don't dig too deep, this is okay, right? And then what would be number 3?
If there isn't a fire, I don't see.
If there isn't a fire, then you're not going to see smoke, right? Again, that's going to be false too, but you get it. Okay. So then, if we wanted to make it a absence.
So we're saying that's a false.
Yeah. Right. Ultimately, it's going to be false because why?
But it's going to be probable, you're saying.
Could you say there?
Yeah.
Could you say there is or was a fire?
Yeah, because smoke is not the cause of fire. I'm sorry, fire is not the cause of smoke. Fire is not the root cause of smoke. What's the root cause of smoke? Yeah, you planted a seed to see smoke. If you didn't plant a seed to see smoke, you'll see fire all day long, and you won't see any smoke. Right? Like a Bunsen burner. A lot of times you won't see any smoke coming off a Bunsen burner. You're not going to say it's not a fire. Yeah, a pizza oven. Yeah, Tumo.
So again, anything that's cause and effect relationship is going to be wrong unless karma.
That's my assertion.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, and we should talk about it more at some point. Prove our 4 laws and all that stuff. Consider mountain pass. So then the other one, the proof they give for negation is let's see. Consider. It's like consider.
The example or the proof?
Consider. What's that? This is an example of this. This is a classic example of this kind of reasoning. And again, it's lower school, and that's why it's false. But you'll hear it, and you'll see it in classes all the time, and don't argue with them about it. It's fine. I'm not training you so that you can give Tibetan Geshes a hard time. Don't do that. It's bad karma. Consider.
Unless it helps them articulate better, then it's good.
You can think about it. Consider a way. I'm not necessarily saying don't do it either. I'm just saying,
I'm really excited about your enthusiasm.
Consider a lake at night. There is no fire. No. Wait a minute. Yeah. Consider a lake at night. There's no smoke. Okay. Because you can't see smoke at night anyway. That's why they have this weird, bizarre example. Consider a lake at night. There's no smoke because what?
Because there's no fire?
Yeah. Because I'll just say there's no fire. I don't see a fire would be better. It's fine. Because there is no fire. So again, like I said, that's supposed to say fire. The way you really easily come up with an example of this kind is just negate one of these, right? So we had an example of the cause and effect proof, and then you just negate something in there, and then you have an example of one of these. So if anybody asks you, you can't give me an example, For a cause and effect proof, you could say no, there is fire because I see smoke. And if they say you've never heard a proof that uses negation, you can say that's not true either. There's no smoke because there's no fire. Just really simple examples. Just mostly so these guys can do their homework. The definition for negation, because we always talk about how important definitions are. The definition for negation is terrible, but just so you've heard it, it's a thing that must be perceived by the state of mind that perceives it directly through a process of eliminating directly that which it denies.
Well-
You can just copy that down from the notes.
Can
Can you say that again?
Yeah. A negative thing is a thing that must be perceived by a state of mind that perceives it directly through a process of eliminating directly that which it denies. So the simple example Geshe Michael always uses is there's no pink elephant in this room. How do you know? You look, you can see directly there's no pink elephant in this room.
Okay.
I mean, if I wanted to, make that simpler, I would just say, a state of mind that perceives something directly to seeing directly that it's not there. It's totally fine. Can anybody give me an example of a reason that uses the nature of a thing? So which one of these three would that be?
Identity.
Yeah, that's just, if you see in the homework or somebody says nature of a thing, they're talking about a relationship with identity.
Okay.
Does anything have a nature?
Darn.
Where's Michael? Michael didn't come. Dang. I wanted to talk about that because last weekend we had some conflict because I said human beings are not inherently good, and that upset some people. I felt like. So if I was to say people are not inherently good, why would I be saying that?
It's your direct experience.
Well, that's possibly true, but because emptiness, yeah, nothing has a nature. It's not possible for a thing to have a nature. Emptiness denies that. That's the thing that emptiness denies. That's exactly what emptiness is, the lack of anything having a nature. So if you come to me and say people have, I think people inherently have a good nature, what am I going to say? Of course not. That's crazy talk. But I don't want to make you feel bad. I'm not trying to make you feel depressed about the human race. So if I wanted to throw a dog a bone, what would I say?
Capacity for.
You say the capacity. That emptiness also means that anybody can be a good person. Even the worst person could be a good person if they planted the seeds for it, right? Hint, 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 hint. If you perceive a world where all people have a good nature, where is that coming from?
You.
It's coming from you, right? So if you want to live in a world where everybody you meet has a good nature, like Michael, then what do? Yeah, if you're a good person and you treat other people as a good person, then you're going to be surrounded by people that are good.
And then when you hear somebody saying that people don't have a good nature, it's your duty to jump up from the boat
in the past.
So then, what do you say to someone who's like, no, you're wrong, you're an idiot, and you're going to get in trouble that way? I think everyone has the potential for a good nature.
Yeah,
You continue to encounter people like
And you
that.
And we say talk about Drew.
No, you just agree with them. We'll talk about more, again, like when we get to when we do some stuff on actually debating with people. So what's the best reason to debate?
Deeper understanding.
To learn
Yeah.
things yourself.
To improve my own understanding is really the only reason to debate anything. You're never gonna. So what do we say is the difference between Svatantrika and Prasangika?
Between what and Prasangika?
Svatantrika and Prasangika, schools 5 and school 6. They're a view of logic. How are they different?
The dependent origination.
Well, I think there's lots of ways and they're different, but one of the main contentions between those two schools is Svatantrika says if you give somebody a proof of something, they have to accept it. Is that true? No, of course not. You give somebody a reason for something, I can do the whole thing, prove it all out, show you everything, write it all on the board. Does that mean you're going to accept it necessarily? No. If you don't want to, you'll just say, no, you're wrong, and walk out. Right? There's no way to logically make anybody believe something, because logic is not a cause. Just like everything else, right? What's the cause?
Your own seed.
A seed, right? You got to plant a seed. right? So the only way I'm going to convince anybody else that what I'm teaching is correct is if I plant the seed for that. Otherwise, I can study logic all day long and argue with everybody and rah, rah, no, you're wrong. And what's going to happen? Nothing. Yeah, they'll just keep arguing with me.
You're creating the causes for more.
It's just going to get worse.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, so if somebody comes to me and says, you're wrong, you know what you're talking about, blah, 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 blah. Then you just say, yeah, you're right, you're probably right. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just making this stuff up.
So here's the thing. Are you also not planting a karma and a cause for ignorance in your mind to continue? Meaning, you know that you're lying to this person, going, I'm being compared to you idiot.
Good. This is totally off the subject, and they're not letting me horse race.
So,
But no. What's the definition of a lie? Does anybody know? This is one of my favorite debates.
cool.
You create a different impression in someone else's mind than that which is in your own.
Yeah. Let me look at this real fast. Let me know what time it is. I turned my clock off.
It is up there.
22.
Okay.
Under the assumption that that is correct as well.
I gave you the negative definition.
This one.
I can do that fast. All right, cool. We have time.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's the definition of a lie?
You create
Anything other than the
in
truth?
someone else's mind that is different from the impression that's in your own.
Yeah, we say creating a false impression in someone else's mind. So, for example, if I say I have a red pen, then in my mind I know it's green, so I told a lie. But if, for example, I'm colorblind and I look at this and see it as, I probably see it as blue, right? Or does anybody know? What I see it as red? Okay, so if I look at this and I see this as red and I say this pen is red, then I would not be wrong. Because for me, this
Based
thing
on
is
your own projection of
yeah. What I'm seeing, I'm actually reporting to you correctly what I see. And then technically, by definition, that would not be a lie.
That's true.
Oh man, I'm trying to take your horse off track, but don't we lie to ourselves? Like create an impression that is false instead of what we know?
Yeah, I don't know, that's
We can
pretty
skip over
pretty
that.
deep.
Okay.
Yeah, let me think about that. Let's come back to it.
Yeah.
But using this definition of a lie that we just used, what I'm interested in is, logically, what you should ask yourself now is, what about the Buddha? Does the Buddha always tell the truth?
no.
No, right? Give me an example.
About the guy who said I killed my father, and he said, "Oh, that's okay."
Yeah,
And then-
exactly.
yeah.
Right? He created a false impression in the guy's mind. He knows killing people is bad, but he also knows if he tells that guy that, he's going to leave, right? So he
Right.
tells him, no, it's great that you killed your dad. And then the guy becomes a student, right? And it all works out. It's all happy ending. But the question is, did the Buddha tell a lie?
Technically,
Yes.
but based upon intention, it wouldn't have.
Yeah.
It wouldn't plan out black karmic seed.
Good.
But based on your
That's what I would
definition, he did tell
You can't. Yeah. Based on this definition, he lied. But now the question is was it motivated by a mental affliction?
But a lie has no inherent value.
Buddha doesn't have mental
And
affliction.
according to emptiness, a lie is not always bad.
I can just go home now. You guys got it all.
So lying is empty.
Lying is actually like everything else, right? And if your intention is good, then it doesn't plant a bad seed.
Wow.
So who knows what kind of karma Hitler created because we don't know what was in his mind.
Yeah, that's a totally different subject.
Sure.
Wow.
That's not a totally different subject. It's slightly
But
different
based,
subject.
based on our best judgment, we can say that what he did was horrifically wrong.
You can't judge.
What's that now?
Based on our best judgment, the judgment we have about right and wrong right now, we can.
Well, no, see, that's what I'm trying to get at. The question is not whether it's right or wrong.
So I don't think I was asking that. I think I was asking, I am very aware that I am giving you a false impression of what is true.
Yeah.
That what I know to be ultimately true.
Yeah.
Just so we can continue a nice engagement for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So knowing this,
Yeah.
I cannot deny that in my mind I see an opposing,
Sure.
and I am forced to see an opposing moment
Sure.
where I am lying to you, and that lying to me, because I've been self-indoctrinated into the idea that a lie will cause a false reality,
Sure. Sure.
freaks out, as I know the right thing to do is to go, yes, of course, I'm sorry, you should kill someone, So as I'm forced to say that because of the circumstances, and I know that's the larger percentage of the moment, I cannot deny that at that very instant where I contract and wish that I could tell you really how things are. Like you can't tell that to a child, for example. Sometimes to a child you have to say the right thing for the
Look,
child.
everything's coming from you.
Yeah.
It's not useful.
So that, are you saying that moment will not have a mental result?
No, I'm saying exactly, but what we need to focus on is the result of anything is what we do,
So I think.
is what you think, right? It's what your motivation is. So, like here's my favorite, at DCI, this is what I do all the time. I say, okay, I'm going to give a pen, right? Here's example number one. I'm going to give a pen. I hate Tad's guts. Like, he's always yelling at me and treating me like crap. And
I agree.
like, he's such a terrible person, you know? He's just like, he's so mean and out of control all the time. And he says, give me a pen. And I'm like, I don't want to give him a pen because I don't like him, you know? But like, he's my boss, and if I don't give him the pen, he'll fire me, you know? So I'm like, okay. So I give him the pen. But then in my mind, what do I think? I hope you choke on it. All right, so that's example number one. Example number two, I love Tad. He's like helping me all the time. He's like taking me everywhere. He's like letting me live at my house. He's like selling my book. He's like doing all this stuff to help me. And he says,
Can I get friends?
Can I have a pen? Probably friends. Right? Maybe that part would do though. Then and so then I give him the pen, and when I give him the pen, I think in my mind, by giving you this, may you get everything you ever need in your whole life. Right? Which seed is better?
I like the second one.
Right? But if I was watching, right, you're watching me, it's the same. Right? It's the same. In both cases, you're just handing the pen. But the karmic results are dramatically different.
So
So what I'm basically saying is, if they say you're wrong, you don't know what you're talking about, and in that moment I realize if I argue with them, it's just going to I'm going to get mad. They're going to keep staying mad. It's just going to make everything. It's just going to be a giant disaster. Then I say, no, you're probably right. I don't really know what I'm talking about. It's okay. Then my motivation is to keep them from planting bad seeds and to keep myself from planting bad seeds. Then I would argue.
But the action
the
is
seeds
still.
that are going to come back are going to be good.
So we asked the Dalai Lama, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, in the last public thing, is it true that there is absolutely nothing else but karma? You know, that there is, and he said, his long answer began with, no, there is causation out there, there is stuff that happens out there, and then he gave the impression that the cause and effect relationship that occurred in our nominal understanding of reality continues like we nominally perceive it. That we must perceive the cause and effect of the way we see out there, whilst the bigger, and then he twisted the answer towards the end and said, yeah, ultimately that's unfindable, but it is your intention, but you cannot say that there isn't something out there. Yeah? Meaning,
Well, I'm not saying that either.
well, you're saying that the bigger motivation to say, no, it's okay, I'm wrong, and you know you're not wrong, but that part of you,
I don't know that. I'm not, you know.
the part where you lied, where you know you're not telling the truth, that somehow gets squashed by the bigger motivation.
No. Well, I mean, maybe you end up seeing it as like somebody who is taking care of you when you're not ready to understand something. Maybe how the karma comes back to you is they say, yeah, you're right. And since you saw yourself doing that before, you're like, wait a second. They're on to me, like they know that I'm not right. They're telling me
I need to search for more.
and it brings you to more truth because your intention was so that you. I don't know. I think.
No, I like that answer. Yeah.
I think that it could reach you in a way that gets you closer to the goal.
Yeah, you know, I don't like, obviously I'm not going to contradict the Dalai Lama, that's like...
No. It surprised us because it was, yeah, we thought it was
You
something
also
else.
do have to keep in mind that Dalai Lama lies all the time because when he's, I mean, and so does every teacher. You have to.
Yeah, you have
You know, you can never tell. I mean, the Dalai Lama when he's teaching, like, you know, say for example, if you teach emptiness and you make somebody freak out and kill themselves, what did you just do?
A
You know?
lot of,
You broke your body something else, and you're planting a lot of really bad seeds, right? So if somebody who can't handle emptiness, who would kill themselves, if you explain emptiness to them, asks you, what does emptiness mean? You're not going to tell them the truth. You can't, you know? So really in the end, the most important thing is what your motivation is behind it. You know, I mean, and there's simple examples, you know? Like, I mean, I already gave the example of the Buddha killing somebody. You know, and other examples, like if I'm in Germany in 1943 and they come to my door and knock on it and say, do you have any Jews inside? I'm saying no.
No, but that's right. But in that example, for example, I think the reason that thing stuck in my practice is because you ask Hitler to the depth of his heart, are you doing the right thing for this planet? Absolutely.
Yeah.
His motivation is beautiful. I want a perfect planet.
Okay.
And it's got all these people with white hair, red hair, well, whatever hair, and blue eyes, and his act of killing is going to give him a result whether he likes it or not.
Oh, sure.
You know?
Sure.
But my motivation is much bigger than I have to kill all these people because I really want a good planet.
Sure. Well, no. Okay, I get where you're going, I guess.
Yeah.
This is no, great. This is a totally different thing. And maybe it's a little bit, was your question too about how we fool ourselves, right? So,
Oh, yeah.
what's the ultimate root cause of all of our pain and suffering?
Ignorance.
Yeah. What I prefer. Yeah. Yeah.
unchanging concept. I feel like it is.
We can talk about it. Is Marikpa in the Tibetan, so say Marikpa. Yeah, many times people translate that as ignorance. I don't like ignorance. Why don't I like to translate it as ignorance? I think I said that this time.
It's kind of a negative word. It makes you feel stupid.
No, that's okay. We are pretty dumb. and this is why I prefer misunderstanding your world.
Is that because misunderstanding is more active than ignorance?
Yes, absolutely. See, ignorance implies a lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
And that's not the problem. The problem is that we don't have correct knowledge. That's not the real problem. The problem is the knowledge we think we have is wrong. So we're actually actively misunderstanding how our world exists, not missing how our world exists. I mean, we are also doing that. But more importantly, we're actively misunderstanding where things come from. We're we're turning it all around backwards all the time, right? So, this is the root of all of our pain and suffering. So, if I go and tell the truth based on this, what kind of result am I going to get? I tell the truth
Based from a misunderstanding.
based on a misunderstanding of the world.
That's what you were saying, are we lying to ourselves?
A good result or a bad result?
A mixed result.
Yeah.
A misunderstanding.
And I would argue that everything we actually, until you become a Buddha, or until you see emptiness directly, everything you're doing is some version of this. You know, like when I if I give Tad $5, you know, is it a good seed or a bad seed?
I mean, for something in return, right?
But eventually get some money back.
You'll definitely plant a seed to get some money, that's true. But if I'm thinking Tad's self-existent and I'm self-existent and giving money is self-existent.
And you know he's an addict and he's going to go shoot it up with $5.
And money has self-existent value. You're having a rough day.
Stop it.
The truth comes out.
Then all right. Then the result that's going to come from that act of giving, which is all wrapped up in this and misunderstanding and how things work, you're going to suffer. You will get some money in the future, and that money will probably also just make you suffer more. Is money the cause of happiness?
Yes.
This would be maybe a good place to stop. I don't know. What are the 3 kinds of seeds? Does anybody know?
Well, there's 3 different categories.
Black, white, and gray.
Yeah, black, white, neutral. This life.
Yeah, that's true. They say good, bad, and neutral. All Galupa lists have multiple lists of the same thing. So one list of 3 is good, bad, neutral. I don't accept that list. We can talk about that later. What's the other list of 3?
This life and this life.
Yeah, that's true. What's the other list of 3? 3 kinds of karmic seeds.
No, I can't remember. There's another one.
Let me pull out my list of lists. Hold on.
Yeah. I'm gonna go good, bad, and pure.
Ugly.
Pure. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Good, bad, and pure.
Oh,
right?
wow.
So what's the difference? What's a bad seed get you?
Very
Bad.
More bad back pain, right? What's a good seed get you?
More good bad things.
More good.
Yeah, what's the bad thing about a good seed?
It ends.
Runs out.
It runs out, you know. I give away some money comes back to me, woo, big priority, I spend it, then what happens?
It's gone.
Sadly, no.
It's
That's
gone.
the good thing about
Yeah.
a bad seed is that it
That's true too.
Yay.
That's true too. That's, yeah,
Yes.
that's true.
I really love your optimism.
That's true. So then what's a pure seed?
One that isn't attached to karmic results.
Gets you out some sorrows.
Yeah. Basically meaning, a pure seed is any seed that comes from not having this problem.
But then we can't create that.
Basically. Yeah. I don't really have the capacity to plant a seed like that yet. And one way of looking at my practice as a Buddhist could be, how the hell do I get to the place where I can plant a pure seed?
Wait, isn't that like
That could be my whole goal as a Buddhist.
Wait, define a pure.
What is the definition?
Pure is a seed that doesn't wear out.
So the thing that I loved about last Geshe Michael retreat in Prescott, he talked about the Buddha field, or having an enlightened being be witness to your good or bad karma, because in their mind it would be a pure karma. And so there is a corner of your karma that says it's in the ocean of purity.
Oh my god, that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, good, then I won't say anything.
No, good. Now you have to say.
I'll leave you with that. Yeah, I would want to debate that. It's fine. You like it, it's beautiful, all people are good. Move on. I don't want to mess with your happy place. I gotta recover real quickly. Let's give me an example of a proof that uses identity or the nature of God. Ooh, wow. Like 15, 20 minutes ago, that's why I was talking about this. So nature of a thing equals relationship of identity, right? So give me an example of proof that uses relationship of identity. The classic one we use all the time involves the Buddha.
Sound.
Sitting under a tree, yep. Right? Om was the eternal sound of the universe. Buddha's meditating, he's like, you want to talk about that? So what's the proof? Do you remember?
What's the reason?
Is this
I don't
sound
know,
made?
maybe.
Yeah, consider sound, it's
Is it-
changing because it's made.
Because it's made.
Right?
Okay.
So on the homework, they're going to ask you for that, right? To write that down. And then the last thing I absolutely have to cover, and then we can have lunch, is what are the two ways to prove something in Tibetan Buddhism? Does anybody know? Also-
Scripturally or logic.
Yeah, yep. What's the Tibetan?
Lyric.
Lungrik, yeah. Anybody know Jampa Lungrik?
Yes.
You said the two ways to prove something?
Yeah, traditionally in Tibetan Buddhism, there's two ways to prove something. So this is a popular name in the monastery. Lots of monks have this name. So say Lung, Rik.
Rick.
Yeah, Lungrik.
Lungrik.
So Lung means oral transmission, and Rik, oops, I misspelled it. Means logic. So there's two ways to prove something. You can prove it through logic, or you can prove it through, what's the third kind of way that we can have a valid perception?
Authority?
Yeah, valid authority.
Yeah.
So basically in the monastery, because they accept the Buddha as a valid authority, because they've done the work to prove that the Buddha is a valid authority, in the debate ground, there's two ways you can prove something. You can say, this is the logic, this is the logical reason why this is true, or you can say, Buddha said so. And if you can quote the Buddha directly as having said something, then that ends in a Tibetan Buddhist monastery, that ends the debate. Because the Buddha knows everything. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if you did this last week. Can you define logic? Like the actual definition of it?
Logic.
Do you have it?
Yeah. This. All logic, all Tibetan logic comes down to syllogisms, and the way you prove a syllogism is to prove that the reason is correct. Tak and dak. What's the definition for reason?
Anything I can point is a reason.
Anything given as a reason. I like monkeys. What's the definition of a correct reason?
Passing the three tests.
Passes the three tests. So basically, all Buddhist logic distills down to, does your syllogism pass the three tests?
Okay.
Okay. Cool. Perfect. All right. We'll take a break and enjoy yourself, and we'll come back and then 3 to 5.
Beautiful. Thank you.
So logic was, I don't think that's so. It's a
Now can we talk
And
about...
we've been to China, when you go to China,